have highlighted almost every page in the book because of how beautiful the book is, how raw the book is. Actually, thank you so much for giving so much love to the previous video, which was books I read as a beginner. And only then did I realize that apparently, not that anybody told me about it, but apparently you guys would want or would be interested into getting some books, like getting some book recommendations for beginners. And although I do not have any such videos on my channel already, I thought why not make the first part of it, which will have 11 books, typically from all genres, and very beginners friendly for you to read and understand and love and fall into this entire magnetic world of books and literature. And I'll make it very easy for you with only like 1-2 lines about the book, and make the video as short as possible so that you don't get bored on watching me constantly talk about books, which I love doing, by the way. But without any further ado, let's begin. Now, the first book that I really read at a later part of my life, and I feel that if I read it, like, although I love the book, but if I would have read it like in my early stage of reading, I would have enjoyed it even more, because I love the movie Up. I love this book. Okay, there's no other reason that I can give you. If you haven't yet watched the movie Up, I think you might also give this one book a try, although very less similarities, but again, the theme is pretty much the same. And if you have watched the movie Up and you want to read something similar to it, I think I highly recommend you A Man Called Ove, or Ove, however it is pronounced, by Frederick Backman. That book actually ignited so much love within me for books, for humanity, for people around me, for the things, the silly things that we take granted for. And I think the writing is a bonus, a cherry on top of a cake. Absolutely stunning. So the book basically is about a grumpy old man and a cat, and some unexpected friendships that will melt your heart. And trust me, all these 11 books are very easy to read, and some of them have very short chapters, so you will not feel sleepy when you're reading a book, when you're reading any of these books, to be very specific, because I know people who do not read have this tendency of saying or coming up with an excuse like मेरे से पढ़ा ही नहीं जा रहा है because I always feel very sleepy when I open a book. But trust me, when you read any of these books, you will be more drawn or more keen towards reading more books. And I am not even kidding, honestly speaking. This is my honest review. Anyways, let's move on to the next book. The next one is the diary of a nobody. I actually forgot to write the author's name and I can't recall at this point, but I will put up a picture of the book on the screen somewhere so that you know which book I'm talking about. So this is an epistolary format. So good thing about an epistolary classic is that you do not you can fly through it. First thing. Second thing, you do not invest so much of energy into it because it's like a diary format, so you're reading somebody's diary, and it's very fun. I literally read this classic in a single sitting. I know won't be possible for a lot of people because you are a beginner apparently, but I tell you that it's very hilarious, very humorous, so you won't want to not read it. That's what I mean to say. Also, when I say classics, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like jaw breaking. It's very easy. And that is the reason I mentioned a classic in this list, because I know classic से ही सबका हट जाता है. This book is not one of those books that will apparently make you feel otherwise about classics, जो generally लोग सोचते हैं ना कि classics are not readable enough. But this is like very easy, very simple, and I feel that there are some authors specifically in this classic genre altogether who will make your life so much easier. The writing and the storytelling is everything. Everything about a book is so masterfully done that you feel, at least I feel, drawn towards classic more than contemporary writers. But anywho, so the third book is a very sweet, delectable, like romance novel that happened to happen amid a revolution and a crisis period. You cry buckets. You like, at least I did. I was like typically crying in every page. And also, very interestingly, I read that book in 2 days, not even flexing about it. It has short chapters. You can literally fly by it, and it has such an engaging plot line, despite being like a little historical fiction, a little romance. I feel that it has the potential to pull you in, and you keep pretty much hanging in the book throughout, and by the end you feel like throwing the book out of the window because of what you will find it out once you read it. But it's gut wrenching, heart wrenching. You feel like doing everything to your own self. You feel like crying and doing what not. I think books that makes you cry are one of the books that can actually make you a reader, because you feel so attached to the characters. You want to read more and explore more, and typically explore that very specific genre. And this one book is a bittersweet love story wrapped between poetry, because the book is written in a very poetic manner, but in a very comprehensible poetry, not that you won't be able to understand one bit of it. And the characters are so raw, and apparently it also feels like some people might have actually tackled and gone through it. Like, the story has been taken from a non-fiction aspect of the reality and have been transformed into fiction. It feels like that because it's impossible to not believe it that way. And the book is The Stationery Shop of Tehran. I tell you, I have never cried so much. Like, I have cried so much on reading multiple books, but this book is still like vivid in my mind. I still remember what happened throughout the book, despite reading it like what, 3 4 years ago. So you can well imagine how intense the book is, that it has left so much of its beauty in my head. Even now it's embedded basically. The next book, which is the fourth book in the list, I don't think it even needs any introduction, because it's set in Vietnam, and if I give you some of the tropes you will understand what the book is. So it's set in Vietnam amid war. It's a story of one young girl and her grandmother, and what they go through when there's a war going in the country. So I remember reading it, crying again. As I mentioned already in Stationery Shop of Tehran, that books that makes you cry makes you feel more drawn towards literature. This is one of the books that actually also made me more invested into books and historical fictions. Historical fiction is anyways my favorite genre because of all the fiction and the facts that it has. This one was apparently my first book that was set in Vietnam, and I got so much of information about the Vietnamese War from this very fiction, which did not at all sound like a fiction. It was so much like a non-fiction, but so beautiful, so sad, so daunting. And the book I'm talking about is The Mountain Scenes by, again, I forgot the author's name. I'm so sorry. Mind blowing, mind blowing. I know half the civilization must have already read the book, but again, if you haven't already read The Mountain Sings, please do. If you want to pick something very short, but historical, because you like the genre or you want to explore historical fiction in general, I think this one book is a good to go for you. The next book is one book that I just read 2 3 days back, just got done reading, and I also got the book like 1 week back. So like the moment I received the book, I knew I instantly had to read it, and I read it, and I cannot stop thinking about it. Like, it's brutal, it's so sad, so realistic, so like unfiltered, and so wrong that it almost feels right. I mean, I also put up a story on Instagram, and a lot of you people have asked me, which book, what are you reading, what is this book about? Interesting, I'm ordering the book right away. And you know what, this is very short, very short. It's apparently 120 or 30 pages long. You can read it in one go, but I could not read it in one go. There are certain times when you want to read a book. So you're reading a book, and then you are so invested into the book, but you close the book down. You take a deep breath, you understand what is happening, you try to absorb everything, but you never want to go back to it, because you know that the ending is going to be tragic, or there's something bad going to happen in the book. There's a premonition, and that happened to me. It will help you understand the longing of human needs. Like, there are certain times when you are in a very privileged family, but you are like, you're not happy, you're still not happy, there's something that is lacking, and that you find from a different person, and even then it feels wrong. When you find it from different person, it's too late. So everything feels wrong, but yet it feels so right as a reader to me. And the book that I'm talking about is There Was No One at the Bus Stop by Shishendu Mukhopadhyay. I have just discovered this author and there is no looking back now. I mean, every character in this book felt like my own relative, somebody that I know personally. And as if this is not a book. As if everything that I read in the book is exactly what I've heard somebody telling me about their own family, apparently, or something like that. It's like so real. It's so real, and it's so wrong. It's so wrong. The book is absolutely wrong in terms of story, that people would not accept it. But again, you feel so attached to the helplessness of the characters that you feel कि भाई कर लो यार, जो गलत है वही कर लो, वही मेरे लिए सही लग रहा है अभी, मतलब you start feeling helpless for the entire situation of the characters. And I think that is the beauty of the book. That is absolutely stunning in this book, and I cannot stop talking about it. I literally have to stop myself. Come on. So the next one is for people who are very keen into reading autobiographies and wants to know the real life incident of people. And this is basically set in Holocaust. And now Holocaust is one very intense topic that I like like to read. Okay, I like to read, won't lie. I really I just feel that there's something in this entire political situation that I feel I am more drawn to, if that makes sense. So, very short book. This also has what do you call it, the author Jeku, if I'm not wrong, his name is. He also has his entire TEDx kind of a thing where he kind of narrates his own story, and that is exactly what the book is transformed into. And the book is The Happiest Man on Earth, Holocaust-based story about the very author of the book. And I tell you, there have been times that I have screamed and cried like as if somebody of my own family had gone through that, because it was so tragic, so unbelievably tragic. I was wondering, after reading this book, you will be very grateful for the life that you have, to be very honest. Like, we always take granted, right? We always take things and lives and everything around us for granted कि हाँ यार है, सबके पास ही होता है. नहीं होता है सबके पास. Trust me, there are people who have seen the worst and the worst, and we still complain about the silly things in our lives. I think this one book, The Happiest Man on Earth by Jeku, will ensure that you feel more grateful about the existence, more grateful about the people, the near and dear ones around you. And the beauty of the book is how tragically the book is written, yet so hopeful. The author has survived the Holocaust and has written a book like this, yet he's like, can you understand the title, The Happiest Man on Earth? I mean, I have read too many Holocaust books, but this one book is extremely beginners friendly. And I feel that if you read this one book, you would want to know more about Holocaust. The seventh book is again for the mystery lovers. If you are somebody who loves mystery, thriller, and and I also feel that this is one genre that can actually make you a reader. So the book is basically about this man who is murdered in his office, and his son is a detective. So his son is apparently responsible now, or has been given the opportunity to look for the suspect behind the crime that has happened, which is his father. You won't even believe, आपका ना पूरा इंसानियत से विश्वास उठ जाएगा आपने अगर ये बुक पढ़ लिया, because the killer is unbelievable. So एकदम edge of the seat book, will keep you on your toes at all times, very fast paced. And I think this one book definitely deserves to be in the beginners list because of its easy language and the pace that it has. And you will not be able to keep the book down, and once you put the book down, you got to go to Amazon, buy another book, because it is that interesting. That interesting. Eighth book in this list is one of the most beautifully heartwarming books that I've ever read. It is a series, but you can read the books in a standalone format. And it is it is set in Tokyo in a very quaint cafe. Now, I know a lot of people must have already guessed it, but again, set in a very quaint cafe where you can actually visit into your past, and before the coffee gets cold. So yeah, the book is the Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So the story basically has some terms and conditions that you can go back to the past, but you can't change anything there that will affect the present. Something like that. I remember only some bits and pieces of it. But I know for a fact that if you are a beginner and you want to start reading, this one book can actually help you buying your next books because it is so beautiful. You would want to read all the books in the series. I have read two from the series, very fortunately. I have the entire series and I love it. It is time travel kind of a book, but not like the, Christopher Nolan style. It is very easy for you to read, very breezy. You will be attached to the characters. You will want to hug them. Very heartwarming. You will also have tears in your eyes at moments, and that is all we need from a good book, right? The writing is beautiful. There are very nice sayings in the book that I still remember a few of them. And yeah, one book obviously from the Japanese category I had to recommend, and it's obviously before the coffee gets cold. The ninth book in the series is by Haruki Murakami. Now, this man has a genre which is magical realism, and for somebody who haven't read any Haruki Murakami, and maybe because the entire world is divided into two parts when it comes to Murakami, half the part loves him, half does not love him. I am from the love category. Although I will never enforce anybody who doesn't want to explore Murakami to read a Murakami, but this one short book, Desire by Haruki Murakami, is one book that I would like to recommend to you because it's like it will give you a brief on how he writes. Now, see, he writes in Japanese and it's translated, right? So I love Philip Gabriel's translation when it comes to Murakami's books. And when I say I love Murakami, I mean how he transports you into a different universe altogether. Matlab, he will write characters who are naturally, practically, logically available in this world. But he will write situations that is not possible. Okay? Magical realism is that one genre. So that you can escape reality. And I love that fact about him. It's a collection of strange tales of desire beneath the surface of everyday moments. So this will basically give you an idea on how Murakami writes, if he is your cup of tea or not. Because I've seen a lot of influencers telling people to read Norwegian Wood by Murakami as to explore his writing, because apparently that is his most normal book. I would not recommend. I myself, who started reading Murakami, started with Norwegian Wood, and I just don't understand why somebody would recommend that as your first Murakami. Because then I read Kafka on the Shore and I loved because I could experience his entire genre. Norwegian Wood does not have any magical realism elements in it, but with Desire, you will at least get a brief on how he writes and what he writes. Desire by Murakami is one recommendation from my end if you want to start with reading Haruki Murakami at all. The 10th one is a book that I recently read again, and I found it to be a very beginners friendly book because of the setting, because of the theme, because of although the setting is not contemporary, it is of 1970, 1975, when emergency happened in India, and it is by an Indian author, but it has such a feminist nature in it. The character, the protagonist, is like a very very strong, independent, kind of feminist kind of a woman. And that is what I loved about this book. It is about a woman who's like rebellious and who's very sassy kind of a woman. And it's a story about what she chooses at the end of the day. And because she's basically stuck amid 1970s, and now she has to decide on which boat she has to basically, climb up. And the book is Once Upon a Curfew by Shrishti Chaudhary. Recently read two of her books, and I think this one, I like this one better. Okay, moving on to the 11th. I know the video is already too long, but the last one, my most favorite book of all time. I have been recommending it since day one of reading the book. I remember reading it with one of my fellow friends, and we had the best times of our lives because of how the book is and because of the discussions that we had. Very short book, very short chapters, and it is very different from what you read in general. Okay, and I know half the population must have already read about it, or you must have already seen people recommending it to you multiple times, but you haven't taken them seriously because you think that ठीक है यार सबने पढ़ा है मैं क्यों पढूं. But I tell you, read this. Read this. It's a sneak peek into the glamorous lives of the Hollywood stars or the Bollywood stars, and what goes behind them and how their life is like behind the camera, or the glamour that they basically mask upon. And yeah, it was shocking. Like the ending ruin you to the deepest. and the ending is basically one thing that I will never forget. The climax of the book like butchered me here, very deep, very scarred, and I'm not being able to recover since then. And the book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am so sorry to inform that I haven't read any other Taylor Jenkins Reid, despite the fact that I love this book so much. But I think it's high time that I read other books by her. I have highlighted almost every page in the book because of how beautiful the book is, how raw the book is. This one book, beautiful beyond words. That's all that you have to know. Just read it. So glamorous, so tragic, everything that you need. And it's also LGBT. So if you're looking for some queer literature, this one book is one that you can actually read and try up. With so much of bug, let's just end the video. And that being said, I will come up with part two. If you need any more book recommendations or any kind of suggestions, any kind of recommendations, please feel free to comment down below, and I will ensure that I try and put up more videos more frequently. Until then, have a very lovely weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.